some more JJK reviews or chapter reviews, and I missed the last one. I think the one before that was probably 165. And basically, with these last two chapters, we see the wrap up of the battle between Yuji and Higuruma. And I think in the last chapter was the wrap up of that battle, and the chapter before that was the one where Yuji actually invokes Higuruma's domain. And they basically go into a retrial, and Higuruma's case was that Yuji killed like a bunch of people at the Shibuya incident, and Yuji was like, "Oh, I'm not denying that was me." And then they ended up duping it out again, and then with chapter 166, I believe, Higuruma was like, "I don't know why you said that. You know that it wasn't you. You were being manipulated by Sukuna, so it's Sukuna's fault." But he was just like, "Well, no, it was still me. It was my body. Therefore, I must take responsibility." And I guess that changed Higuruma. And so that was the end of that chapter. Now with chapter 167, we're seeing that wrapped up. And basically, Higuruma admitted defeat, and he's working with Yuji. And so he's like, "I'm gonna add a rule. This rule is gonna make it possible for players to give points to one another." Excuse me. And basically, that's what happened. The rule was added and it was approved. And so now with that, Higuruma was like, "All right, I gotta go. And we'll both keep our curse techniques for at least 19 days. And he's like, and Yuji's like, "Where you going? We could use your help. You could team up with us, right?" And Higuruma was like, "Nah, I can't. I killed the judge and the prosecutor. Therefore, I am guilty, and I have to face my consequences. And so I may turn myself in once the barriers open up." And he's like, he's like, "I can't team up with you because I just end up hating myself even more than I do now." And so after that, he's just leaving. So I guess he holds himself accountable, just like Yuji's held himself accountable for the things that he did. And it's not, running away from him. So with that, we cut back to Megumi, who's still in conversation with this one dude, Reggie. I'm surprised I don't remember his name. Yeah, he's still in conversation with Reggie. And they're basically discussing the whole point of this calling game. Man. Reggie's like, "Why don't you team up with me?" And so Megumi's like, "Okay, what are you talking about? The point of this killing game is to take advantage of the cursed energy belonging to the players and use them to turn humans into non-humans." And then Reggie's like, "Oh my God, so you do know. What are you, friends with Kenjaku?" And so that sparked something to Megumi. So I'm like, okay, so there is a sorcerer who's working with Kenjaku. And then Reggie's like, "Okay, so what you said is true, but there's also likely a facade where there's probably something else going on. It's like there's probably a secondary plan that Kenjaku's planning, and that he's basically naming out the number that there are 3 things going on. There's a number of players that's going in effect. The difference in the ability of the players in the barrier rule. So basically, what he's saying is, if there are approximately 1,000 players, and there will be 100 in each colony, and those players will have to battle in order to figure out who's the strongest of the sorcerers, and then those sorcerers will probably be gathered out and either used in some sort of form or fashion to benefit Kenjaku in some way. We just don't know how yet. And so right now, this is what's really going on right now in the colony that they're in. And so he's basically laying out that all of this stuff is having to play a role into what Kenjaku is planning, and that they should team up in order to figure out what the plan is, and that way they can be one step ahead of him. And then we cut to Kenjaku meeting up with some, looks like Chinese prime ministers or something like that, I don't know. And we cut back to Reggie saying that it's probably gonna be a bomb of some sort or whatever, and we don't know what that bomb is or what it's gonna be. And so he's like, that's why I've been gathering your allies and accumulating points. That way I can be prepared just in case. And then Megumi's like, okay, so you've been gathering allies, and what's her deal? She doesn't seem strong. What are you gonna do with her? And he's like, oh, I just been using her to lure players, because players are usually less cautious towards women. And then Megumi's like, oh, okay, so want to shear through with her, you're gonna turn her into points as well. And then Fred's like, what? I would never do that. Obviously he's lying. And Megumi's like, okay, simpleton. Okay, you simpleton. Do all of y'all have 100 points combined, or is it just him? And Reggie's like, well, yeah, we all have 100 points combined. He's like, okay, well, there's going to be a rule that's going to be added soon that's going to allow points to be transferred among those players. I'm going to get you to hand me all of your points. I'm not teaming up with you. And so they end up squaring off. Some random dude comes out, the woodwords flying. He goes to attack Megumi. Megumi turns to him and like, what? Dude, do you not know who I am? He disappears. Comes up out the bottom from behind the old dude, grabs him, which looks like a bang hole, ends up breaking this dude's back over his back, and then chunking him off the side of the building, bro. I'm like, oh my god, Megumi is nasty. And then he, for good measure, to make sure that his dude doesn't come back up or use his nails to climb, he sends his new way down. Hits this dude through the air, pushes him down towards the ground, and basically splat all over the ground, bro. But he's still alive because he's a sorcerer. He probably used cursed energy to, minimize the damage. And then the girl looks over and is like, oh my god, that bird was here the whole time. You came prepared. And then Megumi's like, alright, hey, don't you show your face to me ever again, bro. I'm through with y'all. And then after that, we cut to a scene where the dog is impaled by knives. I don't think the dog is dead, or maybe he is, I don't know. And then Megumi's like, oh, see, this is your, not Megumi, but Reggie's like, see, this is your problem. You want to attain points if you don't want to kill. You need to have that kill at 10 if you want to fight me, or else you'll be dead. And then out of the blue, a floating eye comes flying down and then explodes. And that's the end of the chapter. So, from what we know now, Kenjaku was up to something entirely bigger than the Colon game. And the Colon game is just another plot point for his master plan, whatever that may be. And essentially, it might be just to create the strongest of the strongest. Maybe it's to create another team and unleash that team into the world. Make them unstoppable. Who knows? But for the most part, these chapters are actually doing their job and being pretty good. Now, we haven't heard from Yuta in a while. We haven't heard from Hikari in a while as well, or Panda. So I'm thinking at some point we're gonna jump back to them. Maybe after we're through with Megumi's fight. But for now, it's looking like it's gonna be all Megumi now since we're through with Yuji. So I guess we'll see in due time. But for now, that's pretty much it, man. So let me know what y'all thinking about this JJK chapter. Y'all liking the Colon game art so far? Do y'all think it's living up to expectations? What are any expectations you have going into the Colon game? Maybe you might have had some with this dope stuff with Shibuya. So I don't know. Let me know what your thoughts on it though. Yeah, that's it. So like the video, follow me if you want to. If not, then that's cool. And I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace.